Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cassandra Bien-Aime. This afternoon, we'll be interviewing Termaine. Termaine is an alumni of Bloomfield College, and we're going to receive some information behind the inspiration of his book. He's going to talk about some of the challenges that inner city Black youth face, some of their families, and just what it's like to grow up every day in the community. So I'm going to give you just a brief description about Termaine, and then we're going to welcome him on. Termaine grew up in a tough inner city, impoverished community in Jersey City, New Jersey, often refers to as the hood, quote unquote. However, because of the strong and positive family foundation provided by his father, who was also present in his life, Termaine was guided to use sports activities, education, and work as his focus in navigating through and overcoming the many obstacles that often destroy Black boys who grow up in urban cities. Now, to hear a little bit more about Termaine and the insight and what got him to his journey to actually get this book that he's going to tell us the name of in a few minutes, we're going to welcome Mr. Termaine onto the platform. Termaine, can you hear me?
You may have to unmute, Termaine.
Yeah, I'm there. Got you. How you doing? Got me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
So while we're waiting on Termaine, okay.
Got it?
Got it now. That was on my end.
All right.
So good afternoon, Termaine.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you
Good.
for blessing us this afternoon. This is our afternoon lunch, right? To get some insight.
Yeah, thank you for the invite.
Of course, of course, of course. So after talking to you and getting to know a little bit more insight of your journey, who you are, can you tell me the name of the book?
The name of the book is called FOOLed. It's an acronym for Fight of Our Lives Every Day.
Okay. And let's take some time to create the space needed to understand your journey, right? Okay. Let's look at a few words that will clearly give us the idea of who and what got you to this place you are in today, right? So when we think of the word fooled and talking to you, we had brief one-on-ones and we got to know each other a little bit more. And I'm excited for you to tell us just what motivated you to get through this, to publish it, right? I want to ask you first, what was your degree in before we start?
Yeah. So my degree was in business management.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the degree I have.
And now you published it, a book.
Right.
Which is not, okay. So then,
yeah.
All right. So right now we're going to dissect a few words, right? Okay. Let's talk about guidance.
Okay.
Right. If you look at the definition of guidance, it's advice or information aimed at resolving a problem or difficulty, especially as given by someone in authority. Now, when we look at the bigger picture of things, who has actual authority over your life? You, right?
Right.
Briefly explain to us how important guidance is prior to college, while in high school, and today as an author in everyday life.
Yeah. I think it's very important. Guidance is very important because we're not born knowing what to do, right? As we're born, as soon as we're born, at that very moment, we begin to be guided by our parents, and then on to our teachers, and then on to whoever our influences are in our life, right? Whoever we're around, that's an authority figure, they begin to mold that guiding process. So if we were in a situation to where we didn't receive that guidance, then we would then start to try to figure it out on our own, right? So when you're figuring things like that out on your own, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. You're going to make a lot of bad decisions because there's no guidance, right? Now, there's a difference between no guidance, misguiding, and being guided. And that is some of the experiences as youth that we deal with, just everyone just born into the world. You really need guidance in order to be kind of pointed into the right direction, right? I heard this speech, Earl Nightingale, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He said, a ship, what's the purpose of a ship? A ship, you can put the ship on the sea and let it sail. And 9 times out of 10, if there's no captain, then that ship will 9 times out of 10 end up back on shore or crashing, or you never know where it will get. It won't get to its destination. So in order to, for the ship to get to its destination, it needs the guidance of a captain. You see what I'm saying? Because without that, the ship is just a ship. It'll just float where it is. So just using that for us, we need in those youthful times growing up, until we're able to drive our own ship, we need to be guided. And even after that, sometimes we need to be guided more throughout our lives, period. But it'll be less, we will need it less as time go on. But in our youthful years, we definitely need that guidance, because in a lot of instances, that's the bulk of a lot of the problems that we have as we grow up into adults. Children that don't have the proper guidance are misguided, or just guiding themselves. A lot of times they make horrible decisions due to the absence of that. So it's very important.
Did you ever experience a place prior to you going into college of confusion, like guidance counselors,
right,
before going into college, because it's very essential, right, in high school.
Right.
And then while you are in college, you still need that guidance as well. Can you tell us that transition, if you ever experienced something that was impactful, but wasn't as positive prior to you getting to college?
Right. That was one of the, prior to college, after graduating high school, that was one of the first instances that I had to, that I felt like I wasn't really guided. I didn't receive guidance. I was pretty lost, because pretty much all my life, I had my parents to guide me. They walked me to school when I first went to kindergarten. They walked me to, I went to grammar school. When I got into high school, they were the ones conducting everything. But I don't think they had the knowledge of knowing how to get me into college. So I had all of that guidance all along. I'm leaning on my parents and I'm leaning on people. But that one time, graduating from high school, was the one time I had no idea how I was getting to college. Now, when we speak about the guidance counselors, I didn't get that guidance. I didn't get that education on how the process of getting into college. Right? It's like I was given. I knew I had to sign applications in order to get into college, but I didn't know just the process. So I lingered for a while. I lingered for a long time. I thought that I would be able to sign an application a month or 2 weeks ahead, and someone will return, say, yeah, you accepted, and then I'm going to college. And this is coming from a person that in high school was a 4-year high achiever, right? So academically, I had no problems. I was playing sports all 4 years, but that one thing right there, I had no understanding on. I didn't have complete understanding in it. It can also, I can take some of the responsibility for that, because I could say that, why didn't I ask? Or why didn't I know to ask? Sometimes you don't ask because you don't know to ask. You don't know, and then you don't know what to ask. So in that instance, me knowing, I'm thinking I know what I'm doing, sometimes pride or, a lot of that stuff would start kicking in, or, like I said, so in that instance, my parents did all they could do, but they're not, they didn't go to college. So the process of understanding that, they thought I had that under control. And I didn't tell them that I didn't have it under control, because maybe I thought I did, but I wasn't sure, so I didn't speak up on that. So it was just like, I was kind of out there wondering, like trying to figure it out, not really saying anything. And then I think I'm kind of depending on, I'm like, someone's supposed to reach out to me and tell me what's going on. This is my mindset, like, what is going on? Is it the guidance counselors? Like, what's going on? And then I guess I didn't want to be the one looked at as not knowing what he was doing, because everybody else was saying, oh, I'm going here, I'm going there. And I'm like, I'm telling them, well, I'm going to Montclair University, I'm going to Montclair State, because that's what I thought I was doing at the time. But saying it and actually going about it is another thing. And I think it kind of was intimidating and overwhelming. So I think I didn't have anybody to guide, like you say, and push me in that direction to make me more comfortable. So I think that was the problem. Yeah.
Any suggestions that you would give students, right? Unsure of their career paths prior to graduation? Like, it all falls in the line of guidance as well. Like, any suggestions?
Suggestions? Just ask questions. Ask as many questions as you possibly can. And my father always told me that, but I don't know why I didn't do it at that instance. But he said, always ask questions, because don't worry about how you will look, because after you ask the question, at least you will have the answer. So don't worry about, who's looking and what you don't know, because I think in the world today, we have a big problem with not knowing and being able to admit that we don't know, right? It's like everybody, even if they don't know, they're going to talk like they do know, right? So it's just, then a lot of rambling starts to happen, because everybody feels that they must know, or I know this and I know that. And then that's when conflict comes, arguments, controversy. It's like, is it necessary? Like you said, Cassandra, you said you're a listener. So if you're sitting there and you're listening, you're taking it so much. You're taking it so much. And then you can actually look around and really see like who's really rambling, right? So it's like, it's okay to just sit back sometimes and listen and indulge and get it. But it's like these days, nobody really wants to be a listener. Everybody wants to be a knower. So if everybody's a knower, all of those knowers can't work together on a team, because it's too many knowers, there's no listeners, right? And every team that you look at, from the beginning of time to now, there was order, there was a coach, there was probably a go-to player. It was like you based your plays around that player. It was, for his basketball, it's a guard, it's a power forward, it's a forward, it's a center. Everybody had positions. But I think nowadays it's like no one wants to feel like they don't know. And I think at that time, I think that was probably something that I was going through at that time. But I would say to anybody that's going into college, don't go in, try not to go in not knowing. Ask as many questions as you can. And I think you also should be trying to search yourself, because a lot of times people go into college with a false preconception idea of what they should be doing. It's like these 5 areas that they feel like they're supposed to be going into. Either I'm going to be a doctor, a lawyer, teacher. Is this these things that, is this the things that society has created, these images that society has created of what success looks like, right? If you want to be successful, these are the areas you need to go into, because these areas are the areas that people are successful in. So me not knowing what I want to do or what I want to be, and I'm confused, I might say, hey, I want to be a lawyer. Oh, I want to be a business owner, right? But I don't know which business, I don't know the groundwork. So it's like, I would say this to anyone. If I can go back, the 2 things that I would do is, and I would give this advice to anyone, think about because I don't think God left us with anything that we weren't be able to function and live off of. We all have natural talent somewhere. We have a natural ability. We are all good at least one thing without any major effort. We can do it effortless. We're just naturally good at this one thing. We need to identify what that is. Also, we need to realize what we love to do. Sometimes with your natural ability and what you're naturally good at don't mean necessarily that you love to do it. But if you could find what your natural ability is and combine it to the thing that you love, and you can combine those things together, you will find out what career path you should be going in, if you really think about it. you will definitely find out what that is. And that's the angle you should be going in. And I would never knock college, but some of those paths may be not going through college to get to that. And that's one of the things people say, no, you can't say that, but it's all about your happiness, right? Because when I was in Bloomfield College, there was a young lady, I think she was Indian, and she was one of my class, and we had a project together. We had what project was that? I can't really remember, but we were in groups, and we started to get to know each other. It was like a group of 4, and she would say, oh, I'm here, I want to become a doctor. And when we asked, it was like, oh, because my family said, my family has been influencing us that that's what we should do. And then we like, do you want to do that? So being that they told her that's where success was, she thought, she didn't want to disappoint. And they probably was paying for her college, tuition. So she's like, no, that's what I got to do. But she was miserable at the same time because that wasn't where her happiness was. So it's just like, I was told that in order to be successful, I have to be a doctor. So now in the process of me trying to be a doctor, I'm miserable and I can't put my best foot forward right now because I don't really want to be a doctor. How am I motivated at this time, right? There's a lot of people that go on and become doctors or lawyers or these people, and they're miserable. And some millionaires, sometimes they get to the top of that mountain and it's like they commit suicide because it's like I chased the money, but I didn't chase my happiness. I didn't, this is not what I really love to do. Think about waking up every morning and going to a job that you love to do. So you got to find out, am I chasing happiness or am I chasing money? And if I am chasing money, at what cost? What am I willing to lose if that's not the very thing that I want to do or that I want to become? Success is, like I said, society has put an image on what success looks like, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the case. If I set a goal and say that I want to graduate high school, let's start down here. I want to graduate high school and I graduate high school, then in that I'm successful. If I want to become if I want to get into college, and I get into college, then in that I am successful. There's many ways of success. If I want to graduate college, if I say I want to graduate college and I do that, then in that I am successful. I don't care what it is. Picking up garbage, I don't care what it is. Because if I say I want to pick up garbage every day, then I'm going to be doing it happy because that's something that I wanted to do. That's my desire. So even if I don't make so much money, I can still get up happy and go to work. And be happy and get through life because I chose that over money. Now, if we can do both at the same time, let's rock. Don't get me wrong. Like, what I mean? Money, we need money. A lot of people think they need the actual money, but that's just a tangible thing. You don't really want the money. You want what you can get with it. I need this money to get that house out. I need this money to get that car. I need this money to get that jewelry, those clothes, those sneakers. Those are the things you want. Because if we was to exile money and we say in order to get you take the currency away and say, to get these houses you gotta, rocks are valuable or pebbles are valuable, whatever it is, everybody's gonna be jumping in their backyard digging up dirt and trying to find rocks. So it's just like we just gotta be able to identify what it is that we want to do. I know I went off a little bit on that, but it's very important. It's very important in knowing what you want to do, because that way you're not in college for the first year or two, like a chicken with your head cut off, no shepherd. You're wondering and you're trying to figure it out and you're looking around. I got into college 2 weeks before. I think I signed up for college 2 weeks before I got into Bloomfield. Somebody told me, Bloomfield's still they're still taking applications. I'm like, let's go up there. And everybody was like, how did you not know where you was going? Like nobody could believe it. Like everybody, and I think in my mind, knowing that people thought that about me, I could never say I didn't know. I didn't want to. I wanted to feel like I had it all under control. But 2 weeks before I got into Bloomfield, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go for the Bloomfield for 1 year, and then I'm gonna transfer to Montclair. I went for 1 year and it was over. I was like, I ain't going nowhere. Because I became accustomed, I got my friends, I liked it. It was just like, I'm staying here, like I'm good. So just knowing, and I also think sometimes things happen for a reason, but I also think that sometimes we let things go in a direction that maybe it should or shouldn't go in. And I think that we just got to be a little bit more on top of that stuff. And if we don't know something, just ask the question. And if we don't know, we should ask the question. Then we ask, is there something that I should know? Is there something that I should be doing? Like, it's good to ask those questions and ask 100, ask 1,000 questions, because that way you'll know what's going on. It's better to know than not to know, right? Because now, when you're in college, you can be wasting a couple of years. I think I was in college a little longer than I intended on being in college, because I just was, my first year, I was just figuring everything out. And, had I known what to look for, if you don't know where you're going, you can't start the process. You don't know what your end game is, where you starting. You just figuring it out, and then like, oh, hey, I think I want to go over there. Nah, you know what? I think I'm going to do that. It's like, I went to school for business management because I said, the one thing I do know I want to do is I would like to own a business one day. So let me go there. Let me go down that lane. And I didn't never really want to do corporate America, but I just wanted to have the knowledge of understanding of how to run a business. So I knew that much. So I was like, you know what? Let me be a businessman. But I had no idea that it was like, what kind of businessman? Business management. That's right. So that's what I'm saying, right? I'm not saying accountant. I'm not saying, I'm just like business management. Just give me the top one and I'll figure the rest of that out later. So that was my mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's still, business management, you're still like kind of in the line of managing your book.
Right.
We could like put that correlation in that you're not managing a business, but this is your business. That's your product. So you're gonna have to market your product, right? So you're managing your business in a sense.
Right. But well, I am actually now. I have a product as well. I have a all natural purpose or all natural organic product out right now. So now, in this point in my life, I'm actually being able to put that to use. Youth.
Okay.
I'm sorry, youth. But I was working with youth for many years with that degree.
Okay.
Yeah, with that business management degree. When I first got into my job force, I had to actually get a waiver in order to get a job to work with youth. But yeah.
Perfect. You did mention one key word, right? While you were talking, listening, I was listening, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about pride.
Right.
You mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
Pride, a feeling of deep pleasure or satisfaction derived from one's own achievements, the achievements of those with whom one is closely associated, or from qualities or possessions that are widely admired. When people think of pride, it's sometimes taken in a negative view. Termaine, explain to us what having too much pride can do to your decision-making prior to entering college.
Too much pride, too much of anything. Yeah, too much pride or too much of anything probably is not a great thing to have, because when you have too much pride, then you run into that problem that I had. Don't ask, just figure it out. And going into college, man, that's a new world. That's a new ball game. Like going to college with pride, it's like you're gonna fall a couple of times. It goes back to that guidance, no guidance. So due to pride, you're not allowing yourself to be guided. Due to your pride, you're not allowing it. So now when you're younger, if you're misguided or not guided, then there might be a different reason behind that. But when you know better and you're being prideful, due to your pridefulness, you're not allowing yourself to be guided. And in that, I got lost. I was lost. I eventually ended up figuring it out, but I felt like, being that I was the first one in my family and I was the one that was going and getting it, I figured like I had to figure it out. I had to bust through this wall so that now, no one else has to go through that process, or, I just figured that no one would be able to help me or tell me how to do this, or I didn't know of anyone that would, or I just felt uncomfortable asking this a random person, so I just figured like, I'll figure it out. I'm here. I'm just happy to be here. I could have not been in college. I applied 2 weeks before I got here. I'm here now. Figure it out. Look around, see what people are doing, just roll with them. But pride definitely is something that too much pride, no good. No bueno. You can't do that, because you're just kind of just stagnating yourself. And ask questions. Don't be pride. There's a way to be prideful when it's a time to be prideful, but there's a time not to be prideful. You know, and we got to be able to find a balance in that and know the difference. Yeah.
Okay. I know you've taken pride in writing, publishing, and sharing just parts of your story in your book. And what I mean by parts, because you can't sum up your whole entire experience in one
Right.
book. It's going to take several ones. So I can't wait for part 2, right?
Yeah.
Tell us exactly what inspired you to share parts of you with the world, because it takes a lot of courage
Mhm.
to want to share parts of you with the
Right.
whole entire world.
Right. I look at it like, how could I not, right? The audacity of me not to.
Right.
I feel like when somebody obtains any type of knowledge, or they overcome hurdles, and they become successful in any sense, then I felt obligated to do something about it. I felt obligated to give back. I felt obligated to share it, because someone might be going through the same experience that I've gone through. And by me reaching back, you know, I probably would be able to help someone in a way that I wished I could be helped when I was in that position. So the book is, you know, is about me. It's about some of it is about me. I've combined my experiences, things I've seen, and things that I've heard, and things that I've learned. And just working in a residential treatment facility for teenage boys, I've done that for like 15 years. And I've been working with youth probably for over 20 years. And just hearing those stories and understanding those stories, I felt the need to put that out there, to expose those stories, because we can always judge a book by its cover, but we all know it's not until you open that book up that we acquire true understanding. So I felt the need to expose some of the things. I was like, you know what? Let me sacrifice some of my story to help someone, right? And then I'll sacrifice the things that I've seen and heard and learned, and share these experiences so that we can have a bit better understanding for each other. We don't know why people get to a point to where they get, whether it be in a juvenile justice system, prison system. We can look at it and we can say, oh, wow, he committed a crime, now he's dead, but we don't know what took place to get him there. And as I was working with the residential treatment facility, and I'm just talking to these youth and just getting their background, it's like, you weren't born a criminal, or you weren't born a bad person. You just didn't get those guys. You didn't get the guidance. You didn't get you was prideful. You were prideful. It was like, I started seeing myself in them. It's like, you know, I navigated it. I'm lucky. I was able to, you know, swindle myself out of it, but I could have been where they were. And I'm like, you know what? I'm no different from you. I can't judge you. But now that I have an understanding of what your background is, then I can understand you better, and I can deal with you better, because now I understand you, and I understand why you act the way you act now, why you get upset so fast, or why you lash out. You know, I can say there's something wrong with you and then you're crazy. That's easy to say. But if I care enough to get the understanding in the background as to why you got there, then I can understand you better. We can coexist. We can move forward. But I don't think a lot of people feel like they don't, or they just don't care, or they just don't have time to worry about that or to ask about that. So when it came down to that book, I'm like, no, this has to be put out. At one point, I'm dealing with a young man that was a blood, and at one point, I was dealing with another young man that was a Crip, and they had some conflict. So when I went in to process the situation, I have to find out the backstories of why are y'all even going at each other? Like, what's going on? Because he's a blood, because he's a Crip, but why though? Like, what happened? Is it anything, or is it just because of that? And then I just got the backstory of the one young man. I'm like, wow, like you're not really a bad person. It's just like your circumstances like kind of made it seem like it forced you into this position. And the same with the other young man. I'm like, and then now you guys are coming from two different worlds, and then you guys coming to meet each other and you're clashing for whatever reason it is, but it wasn't really necessarily someone's fault. Just because someone has a fight or a disagreement and stuff like that don't mean it's really someone's fault. it can be a lot of different things that take place to why, you guys are not meshing. So it's like, just getting that understanding of them young men, it gave me a better understanding of how to deal with them now, right? I get it, all right? So, because you always gotta ask yourself, what would you have done if you was that young man, right? My mom is not here. I mean, my father's in jail or he's dead. I don't know where he is. My mom is trying to do the best she can do, but she's stressed out. She's frustrated. She's trying to work. She's going into depression. She's starting to lean on alcohol and drugs. I didn't see my mom in 4 days. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. What would you do? You understand what I'm saying? We got to really think about that stuff. What are you going to do? They say, well, you could get a job. I'm 12 years old. I'm trying. I'm trying to sweep. I'm trying to do what I could, but what am I going to do? I'm going to eat. And I always say that you're going to find out who exactly someone is once you cut that food supply off. If you cut someone's food supply off for about a month, you're going to see who they are. I can't judge that person, right? I'm not saying what he did, the decisions that he made wasn't bad, but I understand why. And since I understand why, I can deal with him better. I don't have to see him as like you're some crazy criminal or whatever the case may be, but somebody could be in prison right now, 60 years or whatever like that. They wasn't born that way. Something happened, something played out. So I just wanted to expose all of that stuff. What I did was I combined, like I said, some of my stories, the things I've seen and heard in their stories, and combined it into one story and wrote it into one character. So everything that I wrote in that book is real life stuff. Everything happened, but it might not have happened verbatim, somebody's story verbatim, but I found a way to collaborate it so that it can reach different parts of different audiences. Everybody could kind of connect to it. So when I wrote it on one character and I based all of the other characters around him, and all of those characters experience all these real things that I've seen and heard, and some that I've been through. So I just meshed it together. And I wanted to, I feel like, that book is about you, it's about me, it's about our people and what we go through every day of our lives, living in a world that pretty much mistreats us, discriminates against us in the city. Just being a person of color, it's no big secret of what we go through in the land that we're living in, and trying to survive in this world, and trying to make it. It's like, we go through a lot. And a lot of people don't know that. So in that book, I wrote that to give an inside perspective of what life is like for us, not only for those who may have grown up in inner city communities, but also for those who may not have grown up in inner city communities. Give them an inside perspective on what life was like, because you don't know that part. And even if you have grown up in inner city communities, you may not know why you're in a predicament that you're in. If you don't know who you are, how you got there, then you can never truly get to where you think you're trying to go and be fulfilled once you get there. A lot of the boys came to the residential treatment facility, and they said they're like 14, maybe 16 years old. This is the first time I've been out of my city. The first time I've been out of my city. So think about a kid at that level, at the thinking, the mindset, the capacity. We talking about goals. We talking about success. What does that look like for that person? Like, his mindset is, he said, I love the hood. I love the city. Man. I feel like a star in the hood. That's what he said. I feel like a star. I just love the love I get when I'm out there. He feel good. He was in I can't drop his name, but he was in my facility, and he was there for a while, and he had a court date. So I think one of the clients took him out to the court date. He was there, and the judge sentenced him back to the program. He thought he probably was gonna go home. His mom met him there. He thought he's probably gonna go home. The judge sentenced him. Said, you got to go back to the program for about 6 more months. He didn't like that. He asked his staff, can I go to the bathroom? He said, yeah, go ahead. He went to the bathroom. 20 minutes go by, 30 minutes go by. Where's this kid? I go in there, the kid's not there. So the staff was like, all right, well, I'm leaving. Like, I can't. He called back to the job and he's like, I'm leaving. As he's driving, he sees the kid walking down the street with his mother. So he's like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. They ignored him. They wouldn't say a word to him. 5 months later, kid shot in the head. The kid got shot in the head. 5 months later. So this parent thinking she knows what's best for him wasn't actually ended up being the best thing for him. So it's like, these are the things I'm like trying to expose. I'm like, I have to, I'm obligated, I have no choice. I better help where I can. Whatever platform we all was blessed with, we need to use that platform to give back. Because if we don't, then we shouldn't have no complaints. We shouldn't be complaining about this or that. Because what are you doing to help? And if you have the means to help and you don't help, then you become part of the problem. That's what I'm saying. So those are some of the things that I had to just tap on when it comes down to that.
Yeah, much. I want them to,
Yeah.
I want people to
I
process this.
Trust me, I didn't tell them much of anything. All that
good. Good. I want them to get this, and I'm pretty inspired by the fact that you, number one, because you're a Bloomfield College graduate and you're able to sit on this platform and really say and engage with us today, this afternoon, about something that you produced from your experiences. Mm-hmm. But I have maybe one more question. I had a few, but maybe one more question before we go and ask the audience, like if they have any questions to ask you, and they could type it in the chat, okay? What's huge to me is insecurity, right? I'm so sorry. Insecurity. Uncertainty or anxiety about oneself, lack of confidence, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, you had to muster up some type of confidence to do this, to actually do the book and push it out and be able to talk about it on today. So why is it important for us to identify our insecurities?
Because if you can't identify your insecurities, again, you don't know where to start. You don't know where to begin to fix whatever that issue is. Identifying it, being able to understand where it came from, all of that is very important, because you have to get to the root of the problem in order to fix the problem. I can brush dust under a rug, but is the problem still there? Yeah, it's still there. I mean, after a while, it's going to peel back, and if you never deal with it, then that insecurity can follow you for the rest of your life. And we all have insecurities, right? We all have doubts and fears and things of that sort. But the only way to deal with them is to face them, right? Because they can be looked at as bullies in a sense, right? This bully is bothering you, and as long as you don't stand up or face the bully, he's going to still feel like he can just keep on going and just bother you and take advantage of you. So you're on your own head with your insecurities. It can limit you from being successful, right? Going out for that job interview, going for that very thing you love and you want to become. Your insecurities start talking to you. Your doubts and your fears start talking to you, talking you out of something. I always say the first 10 seconds of your morning, when you wake up in the morning, you're either talking yourself into something or out of it right away. And it's just boom, it jumps on you. Should I do it? Should I not? You had plans to get up and do something. You start creating all of these lies in your head, lying to yourself, like, yeah, well, you know what? I'll get 10 more minutes or 20 more minutes. They won't hurt nobody. They won't hurt them. But you made a plan. You made a plan for a reason. And in your logical brain, it made sense. But in the morning, when you're tired, when you're or fearful, I say all this time, these things, these tirednesses, being tired, being fearful, being afraid, all of this stuff, it messes with your decision making. Because you start getting in your own head. It's like, maybe not. I'm not sure. People, we worry so much about what people want to say. We're actually creating in our head with this. We put particular people in our mind. Yeah, that person's going to look at me like this. This person's going to say something. I wonder. So we're actually moving, trying to please others in that mindset. We're trying to please others, all right? Instead of saying, let me please myself, and maybe in pleasing myself, I can please them. We care more about pleasing others than ourselves. So it's like that goes all the way back to insecurities and things of that sort. So that's why we got to constantly put into each other. We got to constantly put into the youth. We got to constantly build them up, because if we're going to call them out on the things that they don't do well, then we gotta also call them out on the things that they do well. It helps with building that insecurity, and that starts at a very young, tender age. Once you're molded so hard to a point that when you get to college, it might be a lot more difficult to get you out of those insecurities. But you definitely have to be wanting and willing to do it, and you got to be able to identify them and just work through them, face them. We all have them, right? I think some people don't know that. They think that, oh, that person is so confident, but everybody has their insecurities that they're working on every single day, and it's just like, are you going to let it overtake you? Or are you going to control it? Even if you can't beat it, can you control it? Right? And over time, it might not become an insecurity at all. But the sooner you start to face it and deal with it, the sooner that it could be gone. So sometimes, people just wait too long. So I'm just saying, get on top of it. Have the courage to get on top of it. It's easier said than done, but I'm not a person that I've learned that I'm not going to work around here being afraid, because that never helped me. That never helped me. Being afraid always just hindered something. So I'm like, I refuse to be afraid. If I feel like I'm being afraid or nervous, then I'm going after that. That's the thing I'm going to face. You know what I mean? If there's something that I feel like I'm afraid of, like I always use the amusement park as an example. When I used to go to Great Adventures, and I'm like, oh, I'm about to get on these rides. These rides are scary. I started saying, what's the scariest ride? Oh, the free fall. I'm getting that one. I'm getting on that one first. I'm coming for you, free fall. As soon as I get in the park, I'm coming for you. Boom, hit the free fall. Everything else is gravy. So it's just that I try to overcome my fears that way. So whatever the big hunch is in the room, I feel a little bit nervous talking to that person. Who's the head honcho? I'm going for him first.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna break that ice now, like get that over, because I refuse to be in here nervous and afraid. I can't do that.
Right.
Yeah, so I try to do that.
I want to kind of ask. All right, I'm gonna ask this one more experience, and then I'm gonna ask the audience if they have any questions. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Just give us. I was gonna give you like college or prior to college. Just tell us one time where you realized you were insecure about making a decision, where you realized and you were able to identify it, talk yourself through it, cope through it, and then just execute it. Give us, I know you might have several, but
Yes,
like
so many.
one impactful time.
Oh man. A job position, right? I wanted to trying to get a raise, trying to get a promotion. You start to question yourself. You know you're capable for the job, like you know it, right? But something in your mind tells you that maybe you're not capable. Like maybe you're not good enough. Maybe you don't deserve it. So then you start talking to yourself. And I'm like, oh, you know what? Now I gotta face it, right? So it's like now I have to tell myself sometime on occasion, I'm going in here and I'm not coming out without it. Like I'm getting all this doubt out. Oh, what if you don't? Forget that. I'm going in there and I'm coming out without it. Period. It's nothing to talk about. I'm coming out with this result. Whatever it is, I'm coming out with it. Right. And I noticed that every time I go into situations with that mentality, 9 times out of 10, it's been sometimes I didn't. I either come out with it or I made a major impact. Like they recognize me now. So now later on, I might not have gotten it this time, but when I go back, they're gonna remember that I shook things up in here. And I try to go into things like that with a clear mind. I'm trying to just identify one thing, but it's just like so many things. Let's talk about writing a book, right? Let's go there since we talk about the book, right? Who am I to write a book? Who want to read my book? Who want to listen to what I got to say? Because a lot of people tend to, you have to be a celebrity or you have to be this big icon for anybody to say, well, he has made it. So I really want to know how he got there or what he's talking about, because he must know what he's talking about since he got there. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, we all want to do that. We want to pick your brain. So I'm like, I'm not going to write a story about my life because I said my life ain't complete yet. I can't write that yet. I can't write the story of my life, but I can put pieces of my life into this book combined with anybody else's. And who's supposed to read it and get it will, right? I can't be worried about like, oh man, who's going to want to read it? If I can get to a few heads to read it, then cool. It's for them to read it. It's for them to get the understanding. But if it's not for them, it's not for them. But because nowadays people, especially with our culture, it's like reading is like acid or something like that. Like it's like people do not want to read, and especially the Black male, it's like we struggle with this mentality of reading, and that can go way back. That can go deep. There was once a time that we couldn't read. We weren't allowed to read. The Act of, I think, 1714 prohibited us from reading. And since then, it seems like it's still been in our culture, in our veins. People don't understand, well, why do you guys not like to read? But this has been something that goes way back. They don't understand. They just think people don't want to read. But that blood that's running through our veins is still trickling through our veins to this day. And it's like gets to a point to where sometimes the other root cause, we don't know what it is. We can't fix it. So if you knew what it was and you knew that someone really didn't want you to read, if I had to find out that, like you ever saw that movie, Best Man, and he was hiding that book inside his pocket. And when I realized that he didn't want him to read it, now I want to read it. And now I want to know what's in that book. And I think that's the mentality that we should have as Black men and women, that we got the opportunity to read now. Read, just indulge. It's something in that. It's greatness in that. So I'm a person who was once held back. I think in the 4th grade for not knowing. Sorry, let me put this charge on here. This very. I was held back a year for not knowing how to read properly. Yeah, I got held back in the 4th grade for not knowing how to read and comprehend. And here I am today writing a book, and speaking. And I was shy. I couldn't really speak that much. I couldn't, I failed reading and comprehension. And it's like now, and when that happened that year, when the summertime came, as a kid, I couldn't wait to get back to school. I'm a kid and I couldn't wait to get back to school because I got held back. And now I feel like I got to catch up. From that point then, never had a problem with academics. But had I not got left back, I'm wondering what would have happened. Would I still have been cruising? But from that point on, my reading excelled, my writing excelled. I started to be more comfortable with speaking. It took me a while to get more comfortable with speaking, like just openly. But after a while, I started being able to speak openly. So it wasn't until that very thing happened that gave me confidence just to speak up and to do that. So I don't know if I got off your question, but
but it's okay.
What was the question again, though? Let me bring it home for you.
You told us, like,
Okay.
Writing the book, just about making the decision, what you were insecure about.
To write that book and to put it out, because it was like, who are you? In my head, I was thinking, who are you to put this book out? Right? I'm thinking people going to wonder, like, why should I read your book? Like, who are you? You know what I mean? First of all, I don't like reading. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking about that. That's the audience I'm thinking about, not thinking that there's a bigger audience. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about the audience of my community, because we are so hard on each other as a community. When we do things and think of things, we like, what are they going to say? That's the first people we think about, our community of people, because we're so hard on each other, whether we want a person to succeed or not. A lot of people just don't want to support because they don't want you to super succeed them. Like everybody want to be first these days. So they won't share knowledge and information with you because they want to be the first one or the best one, but they don't see power in group. They don't see power in bringing each other together. People think they can do it on their own. But say you do feel like you do it on your own. When you get to the end at the top of that mountain, it might be a little lonely up there, right? Why would I want all of the success and not to share with people? So that's the society we are in today. So that's what we're fighting with. So I felt like, you know what? I'm gonna share this with the world, all my experiences. I'm gonna share with the world. I'm gonna expose all of this stuff. I went into history with the book on why these things took place, why we're in the condition that we are in. I went into all of that history because, like I said, you got to get to the root understanding of why we're here. And I wanted to expose all of that in that book. So that's what I did.
Can you do it? Mm-hmm. Can you tell us your full name?
Termaine B. Frierson.
And I just like to attest, that's who you are. And that's why a lot of people are going to purchase this book. You know, you was asking yourself the questions, and that's part of your insecurities and stuff like that. And, you know, one thing we have to remember is that we can't really care about other people or their understanding. It's not meant for them to understand us, our plight, our roads, our paths, our journey, right? Not many people can say, or, you know, there's men of color out there who are authors, right? Not many people can say, hey, you know, I wrote this book and I take pride in my book, and I built up the confidence and courage to do that. And so part of the things that I meet on a personal level, we could get on a tangent real quick, is that I remember who I am, right? I remember my name. My name is going to hold value, and I'm going to make sure that it rings bell everywhere I go. So having you on this platform today is not only a blessing, but it's just insight, like where you came from, how important guidance is, why it's not very well to have too much pride, right? And then facing our insecurity. So I don't think we have room for a question.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
Okay. I'd appreciate it if you drop like your handles, in the chat, and let people know where they can find you, like your email address, if you could type it for us, and just let them know where they can find you, how they can purchase the book, or you can tell us how they can purchase the book and move forward from there. And I also want to thank you for taking the time out to speak with us and guide us today and tell us a little bit about your journey and your path. We have a little identification. I was a social criminal justice major, so kind of seen a few things too. So we were identifiable in those senses. But thank you so much. If someone has a question, it has to be quick. Like one person, if you have a question, it has to be really, really quick. We have like a minute, and then we'll take down Termaine's information rather. Anyone has any questions? Go once.
So I don't have a question.
All right.
But I do have a comment. Termaine, I want to thank you for coming on. I think it's really important that our students see people that look like them in front of them, telling their experience, because there are students who have everything that you discuss, who kind of walked in your shoes, and they don't have necessarily somebody to connect with, or they don't have somebody that's in the forefront that's willing to come on and, you know, speak about the issues that face us. So I want to thank you. I want to commend you. You know, I know a little bit about your story. We're in the same fraternity, but I want to commend you on your journey. You know, I'm purchasing the book as well. I think a few other people said that they're going to purchase as well. But we thank you for coming on and sharing with the Alumni Association. And, you know, if there's any way that we can support you going forward, please just feel free to let us know. Thank you so much, Cassandra. You did a great job as well.
Thank you, likewise. Thank you, likewise, brother. Definitely. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Termaine. Tell us how to find you. Tell us where to find you, how to get this book going. We want to know a little bit more about your story. So
So this is the book here. Fight of Our Lives Every Day. This is how you identified it. You can get it on Amazon. Just put in Fight of Our Lives Every Day Food by Termaine B. Frierson. You won't be able to get a signed copy. So if you want to get a signed copy, then you have to reach out to me personally. You can reach out to me on Instagram, Mello, MELLO _ Maine, MAINE, Mello _ Maine, on Instagram, or you can get at me on Facebook, Termaine, TERMAINE, Mello, MELLO, Frierson, FRIERSON. So
that was too quick. Termaine.
Termaine, TERMAINE, Mello, MELLO, Frierson, FRIERSON. Termaine Mello Frierson on Facebook. It's a long name. Instagram, Mello Maine. You can get the book on Amazon. Just type in the title in my name, and it should pull up. All right. If you want to get the signed copy, get in contact with me and I can make that happen as well. Got it?
I do. Well, thank you so much. We thank you, thank you, thank you. Go on out there, show the world, let us know who you are. Looking forward to the second book. Be right there purchasing the second book whenever you decide to do that second book soon, hopefully.
Yes, I'm doing a second book soon. So hurry up and get that one because you're gonna want that one when you get that second one. So I know a lot of people have been waiting for that for a long time. They like, get the second book. When you coming out with the second book? So I'm like, I am, go ahead and do it. So.
Okay. Well, you enjoy your afternoon. Thank you everyone who came out today, and we shall talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you,
problem.
and I hope Patty gets well, and Maurice and Cassandra, you guys have been great helpers. I appreciate y'all and the opportunity of Bloomfield College Alumni Association.
Thank you.
And,
Take care.
all right, take care.